Hello everyone, it's Thumper, the Rabid Rabbit. I have something a little different for you today. If you were watching my Twitch stream the last few days, I tried to do a little experiment. I set up a private server, completely stock vanilla, no mods. And the challenge was to see how quickly I could build an automated farming base. The base needed to be 4x4 with 4 planter boxes inside, and all of the components needed to automatically create a watering farming system that only would require me to plant and harvest. And that is what you see in front of you. This did not work out as planned. It took a couple hours longer than I expected. It took a total of 7 hours to pull this off. And that is with the advantage of there not being other players shooting me in the face all the time. Still had to deal with some animal encounters and some scientists who killed me a few times, but otherwise it was fairly conflict-free. I'm assuming that if you're playing on a regular server, you've probably got a clan, especially on vanilla, you've got a clan of a good 10, 12, 15 people. So this would probably go a lot faster even with the conflict. But just sort of a proof of concept to demonstrate that what is possible. Let me show you what happened here. My intent was to create this shack with the 4 planters, which I did pull off, and then buy all the other components I needed from the bandit camp or from the outpost. And pretty much everything you need to do this is purchasable. The batteries are purchasable, the solar panels are purchasable, the lights, the sprinklers, you can buy all of it. The pumps that I'm using, you can buy those. The purifier, you buy that. The fluid combiner, you buy that. So, and the planter boxes, you can buy those. So for the most part, you can do this without having to get lucky. I got lucky and unlucky, and let me explain why. The lucky part was I found 3 of these 4 solar panels, so I only needed to buy 1 of them. The unlucky part is that I had to create 4 circuits and buy 4 batteries because during the entire 7-hour run, I failed to find a splitter or a branch. So while most of the components you need are purchasable, most of the basic electronic components are not purchasable, like root combiners and branches and splitters and timers and so forth. I actually found along the way a number of great components. I found a couple of smart switches, a RF broadcaster, a blocker, which would be awesome, memory cell, transmitter, timers. Found a couple of timers very early, which was great. I didn't end up actually needing them, but yeah. But the one thing I really did need was a branch, ideally, or a splitter, and just never found it. So instead of being able to split up my power source and just use 1 solar panel, 1 battery, I ended up using 4 solar panels, 4 batteries, and that is required in this case because I needed 4 circuits. 1 for each of the pumps because they don't have a pass-through, and 1 for the water purifier because that doesn't have a pass-through. I passed 1 of the circuits through the lights and then out to the pump, and that's how I'm powering the grow lights. Thankfully, they do have a pass-through. The reason why I'm here is because the rules were wherever I spawn is where I had to build the base. This is where I spawned. And my closest water source is what I had to use for the water, which is salt water. If I had a freshwater source, then I could have built this shack on a freshwater source and saved myself 1 of these circuits for the water purifier. Or, Lord willing, I had found a damn splitter or branch, and this would have been way easier and probably taken half the time. But, hey, you know what? In reality, you gotta take what you're given, so that's how it worked out. The reason why this setup works for automatic farming is because with 4 planter boxes, which, by the way, you can also purchase at the bandit camp, I figured as the assumption that my water consumption average would be 6 milliliters per second, which you can see is fairly common on the hemp here. The corn is a little less. You can find hemp plants, like there's one that's 7, but on average, you're going to need about 6 milliliters per second average total in order to run these 4 planter boxes. That works out to 216 milliliters per minute. So remember that number, 216 milliliters per minute. You can get that with 3 pumps because they each deliver 7.5 milliliters per second, and this water purifier is 50% efficient. So between the 2.5 each on the pumps, that's 7.5 milliliters per second, divided by 2 is 3.75 milliliters per second. If you're doing the math with me, that's 3.75 milliliters per second for 2 sprinklers, which each need 2, that's 4. So it's just below, just 1/8 of the water supply to keep these running constantly. But these don't need to run constantly, because even running 80% of the time, they will deliver 225 milliliters per minute. So that's a little more than the 216 we need to keep the average of these planer boxes going. And also, if you didn't quite hit the average, it wouldn't be a big deal, because you could just swap and do corn here, then hemp here, and then like swap back and forth and let the planer boxes build up a little more water. You can see where I've been growing corn for a while. It's really built up. Over here, water hasn't built up quite as much yet. But again, this is all within just a 7-hour build. So this is like your day 1 grind with your clan. And you could have this very spacious and luxurious 4x4. And if you find a branch or a splitter, you don't even need to buy all these batteries. That saves you some scrap. And if you are on a fresh water source, you could also save yourself the water purifier. But this will do it. That's completely automated, solo, stock, vanilla, automated farming base. All I got to do is plant seeds and harvest the crops, and the solar panel and batteries will keep everything running, pumping fresh water on there, or desalinated water from the water purifier on there, and that's it. So for those of you who question whether this is possible to do solo, I guess just don't get killed too much, and it is, or get a couple friends to play with you, and you can probably accelerate my 7-hour build time down to something much less. So thanks to those who joined me along the way on the Twitch stream, just to say hi or whatever. I haven't really done a lot of that. I might try to do some more of that in the future, to do user questions. And if I'm just doing a stupid build like this and streaming, you're welcome to come out and ask questions as well. So thanks to those who joined me, help me start getting some stats on Twitch. And for the rest of you, good luck, and don't suck.